And in other news of governments doing government things, world condemns Myanmar junta for cruel execution of activists. And that's one of the boys there. July the 25th. I know I'm always late to the party on these, and I've been very busy lately. I'm currently working on a video about a certain angry German. No, the other one. Myanmar's ruling military announced on Monday it had executed 4 democracy activists accused of aiding terror acts, sparking widespread condemnation of the country's first executions in decades. Now, as we all know, democracy is cringe and gay. However, no, we definitely should not be executing people for advocating for it. Sentenced to death in secretive trials in January and April, the men were accused of helping a civilian resistance movement that has fought the military since last year's coup and bloody crackdown on nationwide protests. Among those executed were democracy campaigner Kyaw Min-yu, better known as Jimmy, yeah, he sounds like a Jimmy, and former lawmaker and hip-hop artist Phyo Zia Thaw, an ally of ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi. That's the one that's been in house arrest for like fucking 3 years. The 2 others executed were Hila Mayo Aung and Aung Thurazaw. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing those correctly. State media said the punishment has been conducted, but did not say when or by what method. Previous executions in Myanmar have been by hanging. The Shadow National Unity Government, which is leading efforts to undermine the junta's attempts to rule Myanmar, said it was time for an international response. The global community must punish their cruelty, said Kyaw Zaw, a spokesperson for the NUG's president's office. Myanmar has been in chaos since the February 1st, 2021 coup, with the military, which has ruled the former British colony for 5 of the past 6 decades, engaged in battles on multiple fronts with newly formed militia groups. I think this was the uprising that you actually saw. See how there was a lassie doing a TikTok and she was doing exercises and you actually seen the coup happening behind her. I think that was the video. United Nations Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet called the executions a cruel and regressive step. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned the executions and called again for the release of all arbitrarily detained prisoners, including Suu Kyi. Suu Kyi was another one I believe is also... oh no, it's the same bloody person. Yeah, it was a... female woman who was the president, and I believe, like, don't quote me on this, I might be wrong, but I believe she won the election fair and square, and the military kind of went, no, and put her under house arrest. In a joint statement, the European Union, Australia, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Korea, Britain, and the United States described the executions as reprehensible acts of violence that further exemplify the regime's disregard for human rights and the rule of law, coming from a bunch of places that don't respect human rights. Well, I mean, not all the time, but like more than Myanmar. Amnesty International's death penalty advisor, Jesus Christ, what a grim job, Chiara Sangiorgio, said the executions were an enormous setback and that the junta is not going to stop there. Human Rights Watch Acting Asia Director Elaine Pearson said it was an act of utter cruelty that aims to chill the anti-coup protest movement. One video showed several masked protesters chanting and carrying a large banner down the street in Yangon that read, "We will never be frightened," before turning to run. Oh, that's not funny. That's quite sad, actually. Hiding bodies away. The executions were first carried out among some 117 death sentences handed down by military-run courts since the coup, according to the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, which has been tracking arrests, killings, and court verdicts in Myanmar. Families of the executed men were denied the opportunity to retrieve their loved ones' bodies, said that Thazin Nyant Ong, wife of Phyo Zia Thaw, comparing it to murderers covering up their crimes. This is killing and hiding the bodies away, she told Reuters. They disrespected both Myanmar people and the international community. Naila Thain, wife of Kyaw Min-yu, said she would hold no funeral without a body. There's 2 of the men there. But there are some of many that have been carrying out like a lot of these executions. We all have to be brave, determined and strong, she posted on Facebook. The men were held in Yangon's insane prison, the insane prison, where families visited last Friday, according to a person with knowledge of the events, who said prison officials allowed only one relative to speak to the detainees via video call. I asked then, why didn't you tell me or my son that it was our last meeting? Kin Win May, the mother of Theo Zarthaw, told BBC Burmese. The junta made no mention of the executions on its nightly television news bulletin on Monday. Its spokesperson last month defended the death sentences as justified and used in many countries, which is correct. There's a lot of countries that still have the death penalty. I mean, it goes without saying, I'm libertarian, so I'm against the death penalty. I don't think that the state should be able to decide that you should die. Heinous execution. The White House condemned the heinous execution of pro-democracy activists and elected leaders. U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said Washington was considering further measures in response to the junta, adding that all options were on the table when asked specifically on potential sanctions on the country's gas sector. I don't think they need to worry about that now. Price urged countries to ban sales of military equipment to Myanmar, not do anything that could lend the junta any international credibility. U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Bob Menendez, in a statement, urged President Joe Biden to impose sanctions on Myanmar oil and gas enterprise, among others. Is that Myanmar again? I don't know, Myanmar, I hardly know her. Like, fucking, he doesn't know what that fucking country is. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who has long had close ties to Suu Kyi, called on Myanmar's neighbours to respond. Yeah, good luck. If they will not step up and impose meaningful costs on the junta, the Biden administration should use authorities already given to it by Congress to sanction Burma's energy sector, he said. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, chair of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, last month sent a letter of appeal to junta chief Min Aung Hlaing, all these bloody Mortal Kombat names, not to carry out the executions, relaying deep concern among Myanmar's neighbours. France condemned the executions and called for dialogue among all parties. Thoughts and prayers, Hon Hon Baguette. China's foreign ministry urged all parties in Myanmar to properly resolve conflicts within its constitutional framework. That's just China's way of just going, that's not our problem. Go away. Goodbye. Others call for swift sanctions. The UN Security Council should pass a strong resolution of not only condemnation. Yes, the UN. Oh, the UN is going to condemn. Oh, the UN, I'm condemning. Oh, I'm going to condemn. I'm going to condemn you so hard. That's all the UN can fucking do. But clear strategic action, sanctions, economic sanctions, and arms embargo, UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Myanmar, Tom Andrews, told Reuters. The AAPP says more than 2,100 people have been killed by security forces since the coup. The junta says that figure is exaggerated because, well, of course they would. The true picture of violence has been hard to assess as clashes have spread to more remote areas where ethnic minority insurgent groups are also fighting the military. The executions have shattered hopes of any peace agreement, say the Arakan Army, one of more than a dozen ethnic minority armies in Myanmar that have fought the military for years. The executions will close off any chance of ending the unrest across Myanmar, said analyst Richard Horsey of the International Crisis Group. The military sees this as a demonstration of strength, but it may be a serious miscalculation. And then that's the end of the article. So yeah, one of the things that I've always said, especially when it comes to speech laws, is anyone in Myanmar who is pro-democracy and protest, just simply waving a fucking sign like outside their parliament that they don't like, and boom, back of the van, and that's the last anyone will ever hear from you. And that's the problem with speech laws, and everyone's like, it'd be easy about racist jokes. Okay, it starts with the racist jokes. See this stage right here where people are fucking getting executed for being pro-democracy? That's the end game. That's the end game. Like, find me a country that's made laws, speech laws just against racism, and then it's stopped. Find me one. Find me a country that made anti-racism laws and then stopped there. None. They've all went, oh shit, they let us away with that one. I wonder what else we can get away with. Turns out fucking everything. Because, like I said, democracy doesn't work. However, even though democracy does not work, you definitely should not be executed for supporting it.